If you're not familiar with the Farer watch brand, you should definitely stick around until the end to learn why this micro brand should be on your watch radar this year. Farer was founded back in 2015 and instantly made a positive impression on watch enthusiasts all across the globe. Farer's claim to fame can be attributed to their unique use of bold and contrasting colors. This British watch brand uses this technique dating back to the original Endurance model, which I've had in the collection for quite some time, and you can see me wearing today. Farer has a consistent design language that I love. The Farer Cobb Monopusher is the third model from the brand I've had the privilege of owning. I owned a Farer Eldridge a few years back that was unique, very cool, contrasting brown with these blue hands. Similar to both the Cobb and the Endurance, Farer uses pops of color to add character and life to the watch. I appreciate that Farer's branding is straightforward without any borrowed or fake heritage. Farer has embraced their role in the watchmaking market. They're a new, fun, and fresh take on vintage-inspired watches. The Cobb Monopusher is no exception. Farer chose to keep the blue, orange, and yellow theme of the original Cobb chronograph, but chose what Farer calls a silver blue torchlight sunray dial. This dial is beautiful, an absolutely beautiful color that catches and changes light depending on the light's reflection. If I was using my own description, I would say the dial is a sunrays, kind of North Carolina blue. The indices are applied Arabic numerals in ink blue that are constructed of solid cast natural white superluminova. The ink blue is filled in a way to give the numerals a very cool floating effect. This is a small bummer because Farer chose to go with the decisive choice and cut off the 10, 2, 8, and 4. While this is not a deal breaker for me, it is a design feature that would be a turnoff for a few would-be buyers. If a brand is going to cut off the numerals, the sub-dial should be special. Farer prominently displayed two off-white sub-dial that appear almost silver with ink blue font. The right 30-minute counter sub-dial has a beautiful pop of yellow between the 0 and 10-minute marks. Underneath the 12, you see the Farer logo and branding. There is quite a bit of text on the dial, however, it doesn't feel busy. Universal appears in a significantly smaller font than Farer, and the same can be said for the word automatic chronograph. I love the small detail to use the same orange for the automatic as you see featured on the second hand and the 30-minute sub-dial hand. Farer used the same orange along the rehaut of the dial for the pulsometer. I love that they chose to use bold sword hands. They really pop and is another smart design choice by Farer. At 6 o'clock, you have a clean date window with a white backdrop. Farer chose to go with a pulsometer instead of the traditional tachymeter or telemeter scale that you're going to see on most chronographs. I have mixed feelings on this decision. On one hand, I find the feature useful and unique. A pulsometer allows the wearer to check their heart rate by starting the chronograph and counting to 30 beats. After 30 heartbeats, you just read the orange number on the pulsometer for your heart rate. Very simple and easy to use. You still get the full functionality of a standard chronograph, just a different use for the chronograph second hand. While I find it useful, this is a motorsport inspired watch. The Cobb is named after John Cobb, a British racing motorist who broke the land speed record. A tachymeter would make more sense here, but part of me appreciates Farer going with a more useful and functional complication in everyday life. And in respect with their Seagrave, in their defense, the other monopusher in the line does feature a tachymeter scale, so really no big deal at the end of the day. The case construction on the Cobb Monopusher is as equally as impressive as the dial. At first glance, the case resembles a cushion case. Farer has a highly polished step bezel holding up a superbly domed sapphire crystal. The crystal adds approximately 2.5 millimeters to 12.7 millimeters to the case, making the watch wear at 14.7 millimeters thickness. The Cobb is a little chunky, but the proportions are spot on and it wears securely on the wrist. The case is 40.5 millimeters in diameter. It actually wears closer to a 42 millimeter due to the large and unique case design. However, given that it's only 44 millimeter lug to lug, it can accommodate a wide range of wrist shapes and sizes. On the side of the case, there is a very unique harlequin pattern, at least that's what Farer calls it, that appears laser engraved with a bead blasted base in the background. This adds great depth and a unique character to the watch. Powering the Cobb Monopusher is the Salida SW510MP, MP standing for Monopusher, elaborate ore grade movement finished with heated blue screws, goulash finishing on the bridge. Farer went with a very cool custom navy rotor and orange lettering. It's simply impressive that Farer is able to deliver a monopusher with this level of detail and quality for under $2,000. I believe they're the only brand doing this work. So let's talk about a few different things. The wearing experience, I find the Farer Cobb to wear extremely comfortable. Like I said in the beginning, the watch wears closer to a 44 millimeter than it does a 40.5. Activating the monopusher is surprisingly satisfying for a chronograph. That's a monopusher that is already punching above his weight class, just really enjoying and satisfying to use. Where I definitely think Farer continues to kind of miss the boat, and this is just me, I am an extremely picky bracelet person. I don't necessarily wear a lot of watches on bracelets. I'm more of a strap guy. But when I have an opportunity to get the bracelet, premium buying it after the fact is usually really high. So I did pick up the bracelet when I purchased the Cobb Monopusher. Once again, it's not a terrible bracelet for what you're paying for it. I think we can purchase it separately for about $140. However, I find it to be a little bit on the flimsier side and does not match the rest of the build quality of the watch. And to be fair, I've handled other bracelets from various micro brands, particularly Manta. Manta is definitely leading the pack in my opinion from a bracelet quality standpoint in the micro brand segment. There's definitely some room to kind of improve here, Farer. However, if that meant taking anything away from the design and the creativity that you put in your cases, just leave the bracelets alone. Farer has a really great eye for design and using color combinations and different patterns and contrasting patterns that you normally won't see on a lot of watches. And the bigger brands are definitely a little bit more conservative and don't like risking some of these fun, crazy combinations that we get to see from a brand like Farer. All three of the Farer watches have dome sapphire crystals, and outside of the Endurance, which was their first watch, and it is a very nicely designed case. It just doesn't have the level of detailing as I've seen on the Eldridge and the Cobb. The Endurance is a fully polished case, but when you look at the Eldridge did a really good job at adding different types of case construction and design. If you like this video, please check out my review on the Seiko down here below, or a really cool video that I thought I put together, the JLC Geophysic 1958. It's another cool video to drop. Up next, once again, I am trying to get back in my studio to get videos more consistently. So I will be back in the studio finally a lot more than what I have been. I have a couple cool watch videos to review up on the deck. So with that, thank you, watch fam. Thank you for watching the channel. We will talk soon.